America we know today was built on the brutal enslavement and trafficking of stolen Africans forced to build this country on their literal backs. Despite, however, what Trump and his anti-diversity, anti-equity, anti-inclusion cronies want you to believe, this is American history. Its impact is the American status quo. It's unjust and it is wrong. No matter what anybody says, the history of America is the history of America. Right. And acknowledging that history is not a threat to the present. Would argue that ignoring that history, however, is a threat to our future. No matter how many attempts they make to whitewash this history, the blood of our enslaved Africans ancestors can't be erased from this land. We must acknowledge that. We must acknowledge that the systemic racism that has denied Black folks the ability to thrive and to survive in this nation to this very day. We see it and we feel it every day because the barriers put up in place by our own government, because of redlining, because of predatory lending, because of inequitable funding schemes for our schools are very real. Our government, no matter who is in power, has an obligation to right these wrongs, to provide reparations for descendants of enslaved Africans, to eliminate the racial wealth gap, to uplift the Black community. White supremacy is rampant in this country. Just look at the current administration and our own legislative body.
Boy. So it seems as if we are living in a country with two parties on the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to what the American people want our politicians to be focused on and to be doing. Okay, on one side of the political aisle, you have one party that is actually a serious party, a party that is currently trying to rid the government of waste, fraud, and abuse, and to lower spending because we are $36+ trillion in debt. Okay, debt to GDP ratio over 100%. This country and our current financial position is not sustainable. Okay, our current situation is not sustainable in the long term. Okay, we are teetering on the edge of hyperinflation, but I think that the politicians have basically chosen hyperinflation. They would much rather have hyperinflation than a recession, right? That seems to kind of be what's going on. But again, you have one side trying to prevent that, and then you have the other side trying to essentially guarantee that hyperinflation happens because they have now introduced legislation to study reparation, which if enacted would result in hyperinflation. Okay, if you gave all these so-called descendants of slaves, however you determine that, which again is not clear cut, it's not as clear cut as some people claim that it is, it's really not. But anyways, if you can somehow determine that, right, and then you gave out $20+ trillion, which is what some of these people claim that is owed, right? So if you gave out trillions of dollars in reparations, yes, that would instantly result in the value of everybody's money decreasing significantly, right? We would all get poor as a result of reparations. But again, you know, I don't expect people who are asking for government handouts to understand the economics of this type of handout, which is why you have some of the most economically illiterate people in Congress that are still pushing for this, right? And this is why, again, they have introduced this so-called reparations bill that will study reparations, but it has absolutely zero chance of going anywhere. This is just their opportunity to woke virtue signal and to boo-hoo and cry about the white man in order to save their dying party. Take a look.
The idea of bringing forth a bill that every member of Congress should vote on to understand, effectuate, and socialize and study how we can move a country from tyranny, subjugation, to economic prosperity. It's clear. The history is clear. I'm extremely excited that we're going to bring this bill to the floor and we'll be able to show who really cares about this country, who really cares about the descendants of slaves who built this here Capitol. I'm so proud of the Congressional Black Caucus and our willingness to stand up in a time where Black erasure, Latino erasure, Native American erasure, Asian American erasure, LGBTQ erasure is the agenda du jour. Not only will we fight back, we will win. Today, as we announce this movement to move forth this bill, young people in this country, fear not, because this movement will grow. It will continue. Not only will you be in the streets demanding justice, you should know that we will be here in the United States Capitol as members of the United States Congress, saying what Miss Lee said every single day, saying what Ella Baker said every day, saying what Fannie said every day. We who believe in real freedom, real true equity.
That have said that race-conscious policies are bad politics. And we have seen a retreat from elevating these issues. What is your message to fellow Democrats who would say that now is not the time to be talking about reparations for Black Americans?
Well, Dr. King reminds us that the time is always right to do what is right. And Coretta Scott King reminds us that freedom is never really won. You earn it and win it in every generation. You know, I'm very clear about the fact that the path to justice is not a linear one. And so we're here to do that work. And I think it's important, while we are actively blunting the coordinated and unrelenting assaults from this hostile administration, that we are actively advancing an affirmative vision for this country and for this party. I would also add that I do think race-conscious policies are responsive policies. I am asked about H.R. 40 in community in the Massachusetts 7th Congressional District by people of every walk of life, every race and ethnicity, every gender identity and expression, because they are simply people of conscience. I've always said that policy is my love language. And the reason I say that is because the majority of the harms that have been caused, particularly that have been foisted onto Black Americans, were legislated. So if we can legislate hurt and harm, we can legislate justice. Amen. We can legislate healing. Yes. And we're certainly long overdue. And for those that would say we need to just get over it, that's interesting. When as a nation you are benefiting right now from an economy that was built on the brutalized backs and the indignities and the horrors of chattel slavery and our African ancestors.
Yeah, I would actually argue that Black people already disproportionately benefit from the modern economy, which these people claim, these woke Democrats claim, was built by slavery. Okay, what we have today is a result of slavery, according to these people, which is the argument used to justify giving out trillions of dollars in cash to individuals for something they didn't go through, right? That's how they justify it. Now, again, the problem here is that I would argue that, I don't know, I think Black people are already kind of receiving reparations, to be honest with you, because essentially the need for reparations comes from this idea that Black people are at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder. Black people are struggling, not due to their own actions and behaviors, but it's due to the legacy of white supremacy and slavery. And if that is the case, then when you look at the anti-poverty programs that we already have, again, you can see that Black people are disproportionately benefiting, because again, the point of reparations is to alleviate the poverty that was caused by slavery. But again, the anti-poverty programs, welfare, food stamps, the benefits, Black people are already disproportionately benefiting from this. Like, for example, in 2014, approximately 50.1% of individuals receiving SNAP, temporary assistance for needy families, and rental subsidies were Black, okay? And there's about 25% of SNAP recipients are Black. But in regards to the trifecta, right, getting food stamps, temporary assistance for needy families, and rental subsidies, yeah, 50% of those individuals are Black. Black people only 13% of the population. I don't know, man. Kind of sounds like reparations to me. I'm just saying. When you look at overall welfare programs, 23% of the recipients were Black, which is more than the population. When you look at taxes paid into the system, right, who's contributing to all these welfare dollars that are going out, Black people constitute approximately 17% of zero tax filers, right, which would suggest that Black people are not only disproportionately benefiting from the welfare programs, which is tax money, but they're also paying less into the system to support the welfare programs. Again, to me, that sounds kind of like reparations. I don't know, right? I don't know. Now, some people will say, well, you're anti-Black. It's like, no, I'm not anti-black. I'm just pro-facts, right? Pro-facts is not the same thing as being anti-black, right? I'm just telling you, these are the facts. These are the facts. But hey, I hope that Democrats double and triple down on this, to be honest with you. I want there to be a vote on the floor. I actually hope that Mike Johnson brings his bill to the floor for a vote. Yeah, so that America can see what the Democrats are focused on, right? Because part of the reason why they lost the election to Trump, part of the reason why Kamala Harris lost is because of these race-based identity politics. And there's nothing more divisive. There is not one subject that is more divisive in this country, right? That would tear this country apart than the possibility of race-based reparations, okay? So if Democrats want to vote for this, even to vote to study it, right? If they want to entertain this idea, if they want to be the party of reparations and all the other woke nonsense, cool, right? Cool, I'm totally fine. In fact, I hope Democrats make black women the leaders of their party. Please double and triple down on anti-white politics. Yes, do that. Do that. Because it seems as if they've forgotten that basically 60% of the country is white, right? It's almost as if they've forgotten about that. And then they act surprised come election time when white people don't vote for them. So, hey, if that's what they want to do, fine. Be my guest, right? Be my guest. I want them to vote on it. I want them to show the world who supports this. This is the focus of the Democrat Party right now. Reparations is the focus, right? Yes, please. I would love to see a vote on this. There's a reason why it didn't pass out in California because it's extremely unpopular. It was straight up destroy the Democrat Party. That's the reason why they dangled it in front of black folks in California. Okay, got them all excited just for the black Democrats to turn around and work with Gavin Newsom to tank the reparations because they knew that if they passed reparations, it would be over for them, right? It would be over. Furthermore, I always find it fascinating how these people don't ever ask the Africans for the reparations check, right? I mean, in my opinion, I think the people that committed the original sin were the Africans that rounded up the other Africans, enslaved them, and then sold them to the white man. Without those Africans, I don't think the white man would have been as successful as they were when it comes to the slave trade, right? So why don't these politicians ever demand reparations from Africa? Why don't you go out and get those reparations from Africa? Go over there to the West Coast, the Gold Coast, and get those reparations. I'm just saying. You better off. That to me sounds like you're going to the direct cause of the problem, the original sinner. So, hey, ultimately at the end of the day, this is once again a waste of time. This bill has zero chance of passing. And you're going to be looking at this again in another 4 years or something. I don't know, right? But I don't understand why people continue to waste their time with this. The best chance that some of these people got of getting reparations is at the local level, right? They got to hope some local municipality full of guilty white liberals quickly passes reparations and then is handed out before some lawsuit can be filed to shut it down, right? Because that's exactly what's going to happen, right? A vast majority of these reparations proposals are unconstitutional, especially after affirmative action was overturned by the Supreme Court. And, it's just one of those things that I don't know why we continue to have this conversation, but I think that we'll be having this conversation into perpetuity, to be honest with you. And I guarantee you 50 years from now, these individuals, these same race hustlers will be out here talking about how they owe reparations, okay? And I'll be sitting here saying, hey, well, I don't think you're going to get it, but you can keep trying, right? I'll be right. I know I'll be right. I know for a fact. There's no doubt about mine. It ain't happening. It's not happening. And for all the black people that's going to be upset, the race hustlers going to be upset that, I'm telling you the truth about reparations. All I'm asking you to do is to take your anger and to open up a book, right? Read a book, educate yourself, learn about the markets, learn about investing. Learn how to be frugal, right? To save your money, to invest your money. And you're going to be much better off, right? You're going to have a much better chance of getting those so-called reparations. But again, that takes discipline. That takes having to apply yourself into, take responsibility for your own outcome in life instead of, waiting for a magical check. I'm just saying. I mean, it's not hard. And I'm not trying to give advice, but I'm just saying what I would do, right? If I was one of these people that's hell bent on getting reparations is that, I would take a certain portion of my income and just invest it in some broad-based index for the next 20 years straight, right? Just do it every single month. Okay, just for the next 20 years. Max out your 401k. Get that free money from the white man, from your employer, right? 401ks, they got matches. When your employer, they give you money for putting money in your retirement account. And then once you do that, if you're eligible, contribute to a Roth IRA. That's after tax retirement. Take advantage of this stuff. It's out there. You don't even have to know anything. You don't even have to, right? All you got to do is just do that. And that's probably going to be a lot more productive of an activity to get you those so-called reparations than sitting around boo-hoo-wah and crying about why the white man is not giving you that check, right? I'm just saying, instead of waiting for the white man to get the check, you can go out and to create your own wealth if you apply yourself. Okay, if you put more time and energy into things that are actually productive, then yeah, I mean, you're going to be much better off. But, you know, again, most people don't want to do that, right? They don't want to do that because that's boring. That requires discipline. That requires focus. And that's a really hard thing to sell to people, right? It's much easier to sell effortless virtue signaling that leads to nowhere. But yet, you know, you can sit on your moral high ground and pretend as if you're fighting against the white man and you fighting for the people, right? You so pro-black, okay? But, you know, I'm just, you know, saying that I feel like my advice is probably more valuable than anything anybody's ever heard from any of these people out here, these race hustlers out here talking about reparations. Okay, I'm gonna get you a lot closer to the reparations than the race hustlers ever will. That's the sad part about it, that these people don't really understand. Why they call people like me sellouts for just being real and giving you practical advice. You know, if your main concern in life is your financial situation, yeah, you're gonna be much better off, you know, actually taking responsibility for it yourself rather than waiting for that check that you're never going to get. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.